All right, folks, how are we all doing today? Let's talk about Canadian interest rates, some of the forces that are going to come their way in 2025. So if we remember back to when COVID hit 2020, the Central Bank of Canada printed a lot of money. It was over 300 billion exactly. And those bond maturities are coming due in 2025 because most of it was in 5-year bonds. So the central bank has signaled that because they're doing quantitative tightening, which is pulling liquidity out of the market, they're going to let those bonds roll off. Okay? So more or less when people pay them back the money they use to purchase those bonds, the Bank of Canada is not going to be issuing any new ones, or more or less keeping the liquidity out in the market. They're going to be taking that liquidity out of the market to conduct quantitative tightening. So what impact is that going to have on interest rates? Well, the 5-year term is going to have some upward force on it, the yields, because of this. So this means that it's going to act as a counter force to the economy, because as the central bank cuts interest rates because of the weakness in the economy, the 5-year rates are not going to come down as much as they normally would because of this quantitative tightening that the Bank of Canada is doing. So this may mean that the Bank of Canada needs to actually cut interest rates more than they would have if the 5-year rates had to come down. Now, the Bank of Canada can always pivot and stop the quantitative tightening, which I imagine they would do if things get really ugly. But until then, these forces mean that the 5-year rates are not going to come down as much as one might expect, but it's going to act as a greater downward force on variable rates. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.